Hey guys, welcome to the Austin Report podcast. Today we have Austin Netzley, and yeah, let's kind of get started. How's your day going so far?
My day is going very well. It's a Monday. We are off to the races. It's a busy week. We're launching operations.com this week, so
Yeah,
pretty excited about that. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but man, it's just exciting times in business.
got it. So can you tell me like when did you move to Austin in the first place?
I moved 5.5 years ago. I was out in LA and I was part of the Great Migration where so many people moved here. And I loved LA actually. And I'm from Ohio originally, but lived out in LA and California. And I was like, you know what? This is an amazing spot, but it's not my forever spot. So at the time, it was super popular to move to Nashville,
Yeah.
Miami, and Austin. Those were like three of the most popular places during COVID. And I went to Nashville, thought I was going to move there,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't it. It
It
just
wasn't
wasn't.
it?
It wasn't my energy. Wasn't the right vibe. It just wasn't for the phase of life that I'm in. And I came to Austin 2 weeks later, and I was like, instantly, I was like, this is it. The energy, the people, up and coming. So many benefits of living in Austin that I was like, this is it. This is my next
What
spot.
would you like? Where were you born and where were you from?
Yeah, I was born in a small town in Ohio, and I was born in Columbus, but
Oh,
grew up
you
in
were
a
born in
small town.
Columbus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just there a couple days ago, and um, moved down to Houston after graduating college, and I worked for a big oil company. And
Oh,
this is
did you?
before I knew anything about entrepreneurship,
Got it. Got it. Got
And long story short, lived in a bunch of different places, and ended up in California, and then moved here.
it.
So
So
I
it
came
always kind of
back.
ended up with California to.
Yeah, exactly. The California to Texas move is very popular.
Got it, got it. So, like, you were going to other cities and things like that. What specifically about Austin did you find that was like, yes, this is the city that I want to move into?
It felt very grounded, and the people here are second to none. Like I've lived in, I guess six or seven major
Yeah,
cities across the U.S. now, and by far there's no quantity of people that you want to connect with and hang out with that you
yeah,
get good energy from like there is in Austin. And that was the case 5.5 years ago, and that's the case now. Like the people here are second to none. It's like everything's within 15 minutes. There's so many people and so many events that you want to be a part of, and it's not like this flaky vibe. It's
yeah.
very much grounded, and I wanted a good home base that I could build from, and this has been it.
Got it. And what would you say is, I know you said all the things about Austin that you like. Is there things in Austin that you don't like?
Well, I lived at the beach for 7 years before I moved to Austin. So
Yeah,
we don't have a beach. The weather's not Southern California
they're not
weather,
Southern.
and
Yeah,
there's bugs here. People get some of the pollen and stuff and whatnot. I don't
yeah,
have to deal with that from an allergy standpoint.
yeah,
But those are a couple things. Is like, but if you get out of summer, July and August, right, for most of the
then
time, then you avoid that. If you use the lake, then you get that fill. And I travel to beaches to kind of get that fixed. But other than that, it's an amazing home base. If it had a beach, it would be the best place in the
it would
world.
be the best. Then it would be like California, and then it would be
Well,
expensive.
it'd be double or triple the price.
It would be
It's
double.
already expensive compared to a lot of places,
Yeah.
but compared to some places, like it's. We say there's a free house, like the savings that you have
Yeah.
from a cost of living and taxes,
Yeah.
you get a free house if you move to Austin.
Exactly, exactly. And I was gonna ask you, like, I asked my previous guest about this. Houston, Dallas versus Austin. You lived in Houston,
Yeah, I did.
and you live now in Austin.
Yeah.
What would you say? Like a lot of Chandler mentioned this. He's like Houston's like down here. What would you say, in your opinion, is like Houston versus Austin? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say, well, first of all, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas are all very different. Like
they're all very
they're
different.
not even cousins. They're very very distant.
Yeah,
But Houston, I absolutely loved. And
you loved
I was
Houston.
surprised by that, but I loved it at the time. I
Yeah,
went there from a small town college to making big money in like big money for me,
yeah,
in my first job working in the oil industry. So I
yeah,
loved it. I loved the big city. I loved the energy.
yeah,
There's so many things to do, great food, but it was concrete and power lines. Like
yeah.
you had to go to like this one park, Memorial Park, to see anything green, So, and it had the heat and different things. So now, after I've lived in so many amazing places, Houston's not my favorite by any
It's
stretch.
not-
But at the time, I really did enjoy it, and it was a great like space to get me out and getting me into a big city. And there were so many concerts and different things. So there's a lot of positives, but like it's similar to a lot of cities. Like it's not built for tourism. So if you don't
yeah,
live there,
yeah,
you don't know where to go, and you
yeah.
don't know how to really maximize it. So people hate it from the outside, but for a couple years, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you. I know you're very business minded. You have your book. We can talk about that later too. I wanted to ask you about, moving from, California to Austin. Austin was supposedly being like the new Silicon Valley. Do you think that's the case because of all these startups and entrepreneurs? And I know you support a lot of entrepreneurs, so
Yeah, I do support a lot of entrepreneurs, and I don't think that's the case.
you
Actually,
don't think that's the
no, I
case?
think I
Okay.
think Austin is a medium sized town, and I
Okay.
think it has ambitions to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But when you really look at it, you look at the New Yorks and the San Frans and the LAs and whatnot. They're just exponentially bigger.
Yeah.
Miami, same thing.
Yeah.
Like they're just exponentially bigger. So that's some good things for why Austin is the way it is.
Yeah.
But it is not necessarily the next Silicon
You
Valley.
don't
It
think so?
they had a great migration there for a little bit, but
Yeah.
now businesses are starting to go other places and whatnot.
Mhm.
So there's still more moving to Austin, but I don't see it being the same kind of story that it was 5 years ago.
But did you know that Austin is number 13th in the world for startups?
Yeah,
So,
that's not surprising.
it's very, very startup focused.
Yeah.
It's very startup encouraging. Do you expect that to kind of grow in the future, just keep growing with the culture that Austin has, just supporting each other and things? That's what I've noticed.
Yeah. I definitely do. I mean, again, I'm here, and it's like this is the
Yeah.
place that I would choose to build. And there's so many great people to get connected with. So I think it'll continue to grow. But it is hard to say that it's the next Silicon Valley. Like that's
Yeah.
like the best place in the world to build businesses.
Yeah, and that's at more of a higher scale because you have so many people already there. It's a bigger city.
Yep.
Austin, you don't think will ever get to that
I
size?
don't see it. I
You
don't
don't
see
see
it.
it?
Mm,
Okay.
mm, yeah.
Okay,
And I
cool.
don't think it's a bad thing
Yeah.
necessarily, right?
Yeah, cause Austin, I mean, a lot of people say that Austin is a city where it's just so easy to network with
Yeah,
people.
so
It's so
easy.
easy to meet up with people
Yeah.
compared to these bigger cities like San Francisco and things like that, where you gotta like travel to meet people. You gotta find a time and spot and
Yeah.
really organize it. Whereas in Austin, it's just that one central. You just meet so many familiar faces all the time.
Yeah.
And do you think that that's one of the reasons why like Austin is the way it is because of
Absolutely.
the fact that like people just like can connect with each other so quickly here?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's within 15 minutes. Like if you have to go more than 15 minutes, that's either A, during rush hour, or B, like pretty far out, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so accessible. But like I was sharing earlier, it's also like people you want to be with, like people
Yeah.
that you get energy from.
Yeah.
There's not people that are like, let me show you how cool I am, or just trying to get things out of you. It's like, no, real and raw people. Like Austin attracts that, and that makes it super fun to network.
Got it, got it. So now that we talked about your background and we talked about Austin, I wanted to talk about. I know you also traveled recently as well.
All the time.
Yeah, all the well, yeah, you travel all the time. Is that kind of like your hobby
Yeah.
and things like that? Is that something that you like to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we call we have something called the level 10 life, where
Yeah.
we want you to define what are those key categories of your life and
Yeah.
go and create that, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no one definition of it. Everybody has their own definition. Part of my definition is being able to have the freedom and flexibility to go and travel. So I usually travel, I do about 3 trips a month. Even just last month, I was in 4 different cities in Italy. I was
Wow.
in Serbia seeing our AI team. I did 2 family trips. I was here in Austin and building. I had a very productive month. We, had just a lot of impact in 2 of our businesses.
Yeah.
Like that's my dream, is to be able to have that fluidity and flexibility to be able to travel
Yeah.
and go wherever I want, and I can work wherever I want as
Yes.
well. But I
T-
also tell people to unplug, take some time off, because
Yeah.
that's where you can be at your most energetic. That's where you
Yeah.
can see the most strategic ideas. That's where you can make the best decisions. That's where you can detach from the day to day. So I do it for fun, but I also do it to really, have the healthiest and business
Yeah.
possible.
So being an entrepreneur gives you that time freedom and then that location freedom.
Well, it doesn't. No, it
Oh, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
That's the allure of it.
That's the lure of
Yeah,
it.
that's
Okay.
that's what's possible. But do you know how few entrepreneurs actually get that? It's sickening,
It's
right?
sickening.
Very few actually get there.
Yeah.
When I first started learning about entrepreneurship in my early 20s, I was
Yeah.
like, man, this sounds amazing. I can control my destiny.
Yeah.
I can make a lot of money. I can have the unlimited upside. I can have all this freedom. I
Yeah.
can make a big impact, yada, yada. And it's like I started my first business and I was not making much of any money. I was
Yeah.
working 80 to 100 hours a week. I was killing myself, stressed out,
Yeah.
hated everything. I was like,
Yeah.
what? This is a lie,
Yeah.
And then I learned, hey, there's a right way to get it so that you can have that freedom. But I think freedom is one of those things that entrepreneurs, one of the key reasons for why people start in business,
Yeah.
but few actually get there.
Got it. What would be one of your like biggest advice to someone that's young, looking to start a business, and being like the same thing like you,
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
what would be like your biggest advice to them to kind of help them like launch a business?
One of the biggest things is to get in a community
Yeah.
that you can feel like you're not alone.
Yeah.
When I first started, I read a couple hundred books, and by the time I read the second, like 200th book, I was like, all right, it's time for me to like put some of this knowledge to test.
Yeah.
But I still didn't have the confidence until I actually joined a community. And it was a pretty
Mm.
low cost community, but there was other people that were in the same space. So I felt like, hey, I'm not on this journey and island alone. I was able to ask questions. I was able to get shortcuts, able to get connections to other people, able to just have the confidence when I did fail and whatnot. So that was the real turning point, not knowledge and information, and especially now.
Yeah.
Information is so readily
It's so
accessible.
like you can just AI
Yeah,
and
exactly. But you still need that confidence. You still need that community to be able to go and say, "Hey, this you should use this resource," or just to talk things through and whatnot. That's a really big turning point because, like in our natural society,
yeah.
we usually don't have those people around us.
Yeah.
You do now because
Yeah.
you've created that network and environment.
Yeah.
But until you create that, then naturally we don't have that, and as a result, we won't take the proper actions that are needed.
And was there a point, I mean, you've launched so many businesses and things like that. Was there a point where you were thinking like, man, like this wasn't gonna work out, or this
Oh,
is
for
something
sure.
that, you doubted yourself and things
Yeah.
like that? I think every entrepreneur has that, but I just wanted to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So I was building my second business,
Yeah.
and I launched this product. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'd been building up towards this for months, and I
Hmm.
launched this product, and I didn't have one person buy. And by this point in time, I had already had success in my engineering career, had
Yeah.
success in my first business. So this was my second business, and I had built up towards this, and I launched this thing, and nobody bought. And I was like, this like I don't know what
What's
happened,
happening?
but I looked at the numbers and people were getting my emails and messages. They just weren't responding. They weren't active. So I felt defeated, and I was walking around the streets of Chicago. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I was just like, man, this is just not it. I don't know what I'm gonna do, And just like, all right, I can either quit or I can pivot and adjust. And I went on and pivoted and adjusted and created something new. And then that led to a book that just kind of took off from a small platform, that led to a bookmarking agency, that led to something else, that led to something else, that led to what I do now. So
Yeah.
it was like no progress, no progress, no progress in that particular business.
Yeah.
And then I pivoted, and then I just had this whole flood of activity and progress, one after the next. So sometimes, well, you're definitely going to fail. Like I
Yeah.
failed today multiple
Yeah.
times.
We
I had to
all
fire somebody today.
yeah.
It's like that type of stuff happens all the time. But can you learn from that? Can you pivot and adjust? Can you keep going when things are hard? Can you
Yeah.
keep going until you do get flow and momentum? And when you get that, learn from that and see how you can do more and more of that.
Yeah. But then while you were pivoting, did you kind of have that kind of like, what was that kind of motivation? Was it internal motivation, or was it like you joining these groups that helped you
Yeah.
kind of like when you're pivoting to see what works or not? Because it
Yeah.
felt like initially you were kind of in your own like journey by yourself,
Yeah.
and you felt isolated. You felt like I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But was it after you joined that group that
Um,
it helped you, or during that time, during that second business?
Yeah, so actually in my first business, I had progress from joining a community.
Yeah.
In my second business, at that particular time, I was actually alone again. So
Oh, you were alone
yeah,
again.
this is a common theme here,
Yeah.
right? So, but what my motivation was is like I was not going to go to my family and my friends and say I
Yeah.
failed. So I had that internal motivation of like, I'm gonna figure this crap out.
Yeah. You have to.
I have to. There's no question here. Like
There's
I'm
no
not
turning
gonna
back.
there's no turning back. I left a six-figure job.
Yeah.
I was making good money in my first business. Like in both of those, I quit because it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And here I was doing something of what I wanted to do, failed miserably. I mean, not even, making tens of thousands. I was making nothing.
Yeah.
And fortunately had that motivation, had that confidence of like, all right, I'm just going to figure it out, whatever it is, and pivoted. And within a couple months, started to see that momentum.
Yeah, no, that's every entrepreneur needs to hear this, and hopefully you guys hear this. People that are listening, that when you start one business, it's not going to be guaranteed that you are going to be successful in that
Oh,
business.
for sure.
So many entrepreneurs fail in so many different businesses, and then it works out. All the times that you struggle makes you stronger as a person and makes you grow.
Yep.
And that's kind of what you felt, right? Every kind of defeat that you've had, kind of you've learned from that experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the school of business, the school of life, and you just gotta use it as that. The good things and the bad things. What can we learn from this, right? How
Yeah.
can we make this journey in the future a
Yeah.
little bit easier? Because it's never gonna be easy,
It's
but
never gonna
you
be
can make
easy.
it a little bit easier every single time. Of like, hey, this didn't work because of this reason. Let me not do that in the future,
Yeah.
right? And oftentimes we forget, and we have to learn these lessons 2, 3, 4, 17 times, before we really anchor
Yeah.
them in. So the better that you can do at reflecting, having good awareness, saying what's real, and really anchoring those lessons in, the less of those issues that you'll have in the future.
Got it. And then another thing that I was gonna ask you is, I know you joined all these groups and things like that,
Yeah.
but did you have like a mentor to help you as well, like a singular person or multiple people to kind of help you around?
Yeah, good
And what's
question.
what's the biggest advice your mentor gave you as well? This is a two-part question.
Yeah, I've had multiple mentors. So there's mentors, there's coaches, and there's community. And I
Yeah,
think you need all three.
got
All
it.
right. So coaches are ones that give you specific actions and
Yeah,
hold you accountable.
yeah,
Super important to have. Community is more than one person that you can learn from other people. You can see what they're doing, yada yada.
yeah,
And mentors are kind of those wise,
yeah,
sage people that are a little bit higher level,
yeah.
but they're more the North Star, right?
Got it.
They're more of like the example or the one that you go to when there's really something that you need to work through, that
Yeah,
you really look to their counsel, but they're not going to give you the day-to-day tactical advice as much as
got it. Got it.
as
Got
a
it.
coach. So having all three is super important. But man, what would I share from one of my mentors?
Yeah, something
Um,
something that that you apply till this day, if
yeah.
possible.
So my first mentor, he went to my college, and he was kind of my first GM of the division that I worked in the oil company.
Yeah.
And he went on to become the CEO of a $6 billion pipeline company. So he was a beast. Yeah, he was a
Wow.
beast. And on the day two in my engineering job, he pulled me aside, and he went like this, and I was like, he was like this big scary guy, and I was like an introverted engineer, and he just went like this, and I was like, oh crap, and I was like, I stopped breathing, I was like, just grabbed a pen and paper, and I went and I followed him into the boardroom, and he said, Austin, do you know why we're so successful? And I couldn't speak. I just shook my head. And he said, we're so successful because what we do is we map out the entire business and we break it down into all these individual steps. And if each one of those individual steps is optimized and performing, then we have the chain of a very successful business. And I didn't really understand it at the time,
Yeah.
but that's the methodology that we use now. So if you look at any business, you've got marketing, you've got sales, and you've got fulfillment.
Yeah.
Three key pieces, right?
Yeah.
So what we just need to do is understand what's happening for marketing, sales, and fulfillment each individually, and see, hey, what can we do to make these clearer, more strategic,
Yeah.
more systematic and repeatable, and just improve those numbers. And if we do that, then we've got a high performing business. So now that's what we do with people is we come into their business and we break it down into these individual steps, and we optimize the heck out of those to make them more clear, more strategic, more intentional, more systematic. And the compounding effect of those individual pieces leads to exponential results overall. So I learned that from him in day two in the corporate world. And now we apply that to hundreds and thousands of businesses all across the globe.
Yeah. Now that you're kind of already talking about your business, so how did you get started with this? I know you have operations.com,
Yep.
which is that's a fantastic domain name,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way,
yeah,
for anyone that's listening. I've let other people know and they're like, yeah, that's a fantastic domain.
yeah,
So how did you get started with this? Was this something like I know you kind of came from that engineering
yeah,
background to that mindset,
yeah,
similar to me. Is that kind of like why you decided to do this? Is because you've run so many businesses,
yeah.
you want to help other businesses scale to their potential?
Yeah, exactly. Operations.com will be my seventh business, actually.
Seventh.
Yeah, so I started out as an engineer in the corporate world. Then I went to day trading
Yeah.
and created an algorithm and automated it and built that up. And that was my first business, but it was just me and the machine, right?
Yeah.
So then I went to, and I was like, all right, when I come back, I want to have some type of impact element. So long story short, started a blog and podcast that led to a book, that led to a book marketing agency, that led to coaching entrepreneurs, that led to 2X, one of my coaching businesses that we
Yeah.
still have now. And with that, we were focusing a lot on operational excellence and how to get entrepreneurs free from the day to day. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, we can apply all this and now start to apply AI with it. And that's what we do with operations.com is we help optimize the business from the inside out. But long story short, each one of those has been a random stepping stone from one to the next to now bring it back full circle. As I started out as a mechanical engineer, now what we do is help people turn their business into a machine,
Yeah.
right? Using automations and AI. So it all led from one random thing, and then I had the opportunity to buy operations.com, and I was like, yes, that's it.
That is
That's
that
it.
is yeah, I still like that's insane, When I heard that, I'm like, that is such a powerful domain
Yeah. Yeah.
to have. I guess, from like what you guys do with operations.com, do you guys just kind of work with any kind of business, or
Yeah.
is there a particular business that you work in, or
Yeah.
do you guys have like criterias?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've got three main verticals. We've
Yeah.
got coaching businesses that we work with. We've got e-com businesses, and
Yeah.
then we've got service businesses.
Got it.
Right. So three verticals where we start to productize. We know the core systems that they need. Go and install them and optimize them from the inside out.
Yeah.
But it's all hands on. So yeah, we've got businesses and clients all across the globe, and are scaling that up. Especially now,
Yeah.
operations has never been sexy until now with what you can do with automation and AI
Yes.
to reduce headcount, to improve profitability, to improve efficiency. It's the only path now. Is to leverage AI in everything that you're doing, and it's pretty special. What's possible.
So it's like kind of just, AI automations feeding into what you guys are doing right now. Was this always kind of your plan? Like, did you always see this happen? I guess I'll kind of go into that AI talk. Did you
Yeah.
always see this happening?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
didn't. No, I always knew there was a way to make business much more efficient, and we've been preaching systems for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Like I've been, deep into creative systems. A lot of people knows me as the
Yeah.
systems guy.
Your systems.
Yeah, but the way things have picked up
Mm-hmm.
in the past, really the last 6 months, from an AI standpoint, it went from, oh, here's all these things that you could do, to here's what you should be doing now. Like you
It's an
actually can.
expectation now.
Yeah, it's an expectation. It's like it can actually be applied to the business in a substantial way. Literally in the last 6 months. In the next 6 months, it's going to be insane what's possible. So automations has picked up before that. So the last couple years of what's possible and the capabilities of certain things, which is just as powerful, I should
Yeah.
say, as
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah,
AI is
of course.
sexier, but it's just as powerful. But AI specifically on top of everything, it's just like it's wild. So we're seeing people cut their head count by like 60% sometimes. And these are, 5 million, 10 million, $20 million companies. So it's pretty crazy the impact that it's having, and it's only getting better.
It's
So
only getting better.
it is now no longer optional. You have to go AI first in your business.
Got it. And then now that, you mentioned about, companies reducing headcounts, and you've seen it with all these tech companies
Yeah.
kind of, layoffs and things like that. Do you think it's going to come to a point where it's just like just one or two people, and then they have like all these like worker agents, all these worker agents under them, and they have that defined role and they can do that,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about more of the long-term thing. You think that like people are just not going to work anymore, or is that like because you have all these engineers, right? But if AI replaces all these engineers, then
Yeah.
what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there is going to be more and more and more small businesses, meaning 0 or 1 or 2 employees,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are doing 7, 8 figures, right? Like
Yeah.
there's already a study of like it's already more than ever a one person 7-figure businesses, right? And that's going to continue to go up exponentially.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will see that as their best path, right? So yeah, in general, team headcount is going to go down,
Mhm.
and opportunities for entrepreneurial type people is going to go up. It's limitless,
It's
right?
limitless.
But with that, you have to pick and focus and still be strategic and still follow the same business principles that always mattered. At the end of the day, what you're looking for as an entrepreneur is leverage,
Yeah.
and now you can have more leverage easier and faster than ever before. So the ones that are learning that, they're going to be ahead. So where does it go for the rest of society?
Yeah,
That's a scary spot,
that is a scary spot.
because there's so many people that are not going to have to work, right?
Mhm.
And universal basic income is something that I never really thought about until I'm like, oh crap, this is leading towards a lot
Yes.
of people losing their jobs, a
Yes.
lot of jobs just flat out going away.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? Like once, the the Waymos
Yeah.
take over,
Yeah.
like, what are you gonna like? What's the Uber driver gonna do? Are they gonna go learn a new skill? No, that new skill is also being taken out by in the factories and in the
Yes.
professions. It's being taken out. So like, where are they gonna go? Right. So universal basic income is something that I don't know a ton about, but I think based on what I know now that may be an option. And that's kind of a scary
It is
reality,
scary. Yeah.
but it's also for people like you and I and people listening to this, there's so much opportunity.
There's so much opportunity, but I don't know if you heard Elon Musk say this in like 2034, 2035. No one's gonna have to be able to work
Yeah.
because of the fact that you have all these AI systems
Yeah.
getting exactly what you want to
Yeah.
a point where currency is going to be meaningless. Well, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think we're gonna get up to that point? AI is already, it learns really fast,
Yeah.
machine learning and things like that, to a point where it's just like it does everything for us? Or
Yeah.
do you think still like we still need to kind of guide it there,
Uh,
in the future?
well, at some point, no, we don't need to guide it. You know, at
Okay.
some point, it's we're so integrated with it that it's well. I mean, here in the near future, it's going to be even well advanced versus where we're
Yes.
at, right?
Yes.
But in the short term, what I see is a widening of the gap of the successful and the not successful,
Yeah.
right? Like there's the path for people that are losing their jobs and not leaning in. They're going to be on universal basic income,
Yeah.
and the ones that do lean in are going to make so much wealth over
Yeah.
the next few years,
Generational wealth.
generational wealth in a short period of time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a widening of the gap. And the gap has been widening for years, but now it's just accelerated
Now
times
it's just
five,
gonna,
you know?
yeah.
So that's what I see is like it's going to go in that direction. And at some point in time, there may be the Elon. I mean, he knows more than I do on this, but 2034, like that's pretty early. I still see so much entrepreneurial opportunity
Yeah.
of like solving problems and creating things. And at the end of the day, AI can do so much, but you still have to guide it. You still
Yeah.
have to make decisions for it. You
Yeah.
still have to have vision and have discernment of what good is and help like give it the guardrails and whatnot. It
Yeah.
can't run on its own yet, but
Yet.
those that can understand it enough and have that visionary kind of strategic lens to guide it, man, that's a powerful opportunity right now.
I was gonna say like when the Optimus robots comes in and things like that.
Which is
That's
next
gonna be
year.
which is next year, right?
Like, dude, I'm gonna buy one for my house as soon as possible. Like,
Yeah.
put me on the wait list. You know?
Yeah, because they're gonna be there, but imagine them in like 5 to 10 years. All
Oh,
these service-based jobs and things like that.
yeah,
In my opinion, it's like if the robots can do it 10 times quickly, why would they hire a human to do it and
yeah,
things like that, right?
100%. Yeah,
Because you have AI, which is something that's like kind of like you can't really touch and things. It's kind of like that imaginary. But now you have like robots that are chipped with it. It's like it's a physical thing that can do everything that you can do, probably even quicker.
oh yeah,
So
definitely.
it's like that's why like I just think it's kind of scary like later down the line, like maybe 5 to 10 years is like what are people gonna do?
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
if they just come and they operate, they help and scale your business and stuff, knowing everything that they know
yeah,
from there, right?
yeah,
I'm just saying this is like a thought that I've been just having for, and right now, I mean, we're good. It's like obviously you need to leverage AI, but the scary part of AI is like where I'm just like thinking like what's gonna happen, right?
yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, with that is things will be so much cheaper
yeah,
because they'll be done like in the most efficient
yeah,
manner
most efficient.
that inflation will decline
Yeah,
and things will be much cheaper, which means we have more abundance,
yeah,
so it will create a whole new reality, but like what we grew up ready for from a career standpoint is going to be completely different from what our kids will grow up realizing. So it's wild, but the only thing I can say is lean in,
lean in,
lean in the next
take action.
2-3 years because everything's going to change in the next 5 to 10. So if you can lean in the next 2 to 3, you're going to be set up on the good side of this.
And for people that really don't use AI, because I do know some people, they're like, oh, I don't really believe in AI and things like that. What would you suggest to them? Like, what kind of AI should they start out with and things like that? Should they do prompting and things like just based off your experience for
Yeah,
someone that's new?
I mean, the first thing is just start to use it as Google. Like that's replace Google with just ChatGPT or Claude asking it questions
Yeah.
because then you'll start to see a little bit more capabilities of it.
Yeah.
And then watch YouTube videos. Like there's never a time that I'll recommend people to go just binge watch YouTube videos,
Yeah.
but go and search a tool and say, hey, beginner ideas for whatever that tool is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you start to see what's possible, your mind just goes to all these different things that you've been thinking about or want to create or
Yeah.
never had the time for or whatever. You can now do that in a short period of time. So
Yeah.
the main thing is get started using it, and because you'll see more and more and more what's possible. And as soon as you can answer the question of, hey, what's possible with AI, and the answer being almost anything,
Anything.
then your entire reality changes at
Yeah.
that point in time. So especially if you're a business owner, once you see that, you never run your business the same way again. Your team, your operations, like none of it is ever run the same way again. Once you really see what's possible, and you have to get in the game to really see that.
Got it. And like for operations.com right now, what are like the AI tools that you guys are generally using to
Yeah.
help people grow and things like that? Is there like a particular one that you're using, maybe like a Claude,
Yep.
things like that? Or is it like you guys are kind of using everything?
Yeah, good question. So we really use the core tech stack that the business is using,
Yeah.
but we do recommend Claude as the primary LLM. We do
Yeah.
recommend Supabase and other different Versal and different other
Yeah.
kind of technical tools depending on what we're building. But what we're trying to do is we've got several pieces that we install for
Yeah.
companies,
Yeah.
such as like their brain to bring in all their information so that it's like really knows them inside and out. That is like
Mm-hmm.
better and more powerful than any employee they have, right? So there's some core things like that that we install. But what we really do is also look at what are they doing right now on a day-to-day basis, and how do we leverage automations and AI and systems to get way more out of that done. So it's not necessarily all this new stuff. It's really looking at what are they doing, and how do we go from having that be, for instance, 80% manual or
Yeah. Yeah.
heavy cost and people dependent to being automated in AI for 90% of it, right? And if we can do that, we make a much more efficient business for what they're doing right now. So they have the time, money, and attention that they can put on innovative things of new products and new ways to market and new initiatives that they can do to really scale. So it's part of these core things that we come in and bring with part of their core operations so that we can create the abundance that they can focus on those real big levers to scale.
Got it. And you work with like, do you work with like large scale companies as well, or is it more like you're more leaning towards like smaller businesses and things like
Yeah,
that?
on operations.com, most of our businesses are between $5 and $50 million per year.
Nice.
And then our coaching business, 2X, we work with mostly businesses between 500K in revenue to 5 million per year in revenue.
Got it. Especially an enterprise like that big, doing like 5 million to 50 million and things like that. Obviously, there's a lot of complex like moving pieces and things like that.
Yep.
Is that something that you and your team like really dissect? Like you work with like the CEOs and things
Oh
like
yeah,
that to really find out the root cause and things like that?
exactly. So we come in and we evaluate the whole business. We look at it from a 360 view to see
Yeah.
exactly what's going on. And every time we do this, we see there's a lot of bloat. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of inefficiency. There's a lot of issues that are not being addressed that we help clean those things up first so that
Yeah.
when we apply automations and AI, we're building it on a healthy business. Now, a lot
Ye-
of people are jumping into AI and they're adding all these different tools
Yeah.
and trying
All of
different
them.
things because they
Yeah.
see what's possible
Yeah.
and they're getting, distracted by these shiny objects, but it's not all interconnected. It's not
Yeah.
all built on to compound on top of each other. It's not
Yeah.
all built on scaling a successful business, right? So we come in and we clean things up and get them clear on the core of the business first, improve the core operating system. Then we go and apply automations and AI to that. And that formula just helps set us up for big success, you know?
Got it. So you would say that that's the formula to success is just cleaning up everything that, all the waste kind of thing.
Exactly.
And then in like adding that AI as kind of that fundamental thing to kind of launch it up,
It's the amplifier.
It's the amplifier.
Yeah, yeah. If you have a chaos type of business, it's just going to create more chaos, faster chaos, right?
Yeah.
So what we got to do is make sure that we got a really healthy foundation. We're clear on what the business is. We cut out the waste. Then we have the core operating system, how they function. Then we're looking at, hey, here's the 75 different ways that we can apply automations and AI to make things much more efficient and effective.
Got it. And like with all these AI automations and things like that, do you have like AI engineers in your team,
Oh
or
yeah.
is this something that you also help out with as well? Because I know you run operations.com, but I guess you have people that work with you
Yep.
to kind of help with that, or do you also take in part in that too?
Yeah, so we've got a core team that goes into these businesses to work with them, and there's
Yeah.
three key roles in that. One is the strategic advisor.
Yeah.
These are, this is what we've been doing for 8+ years, working with small businesses to help them see, hey, what should we actually focus on? How do we
Yeah.
make things simpler, better, more efficient, more strategic, right? So that's the strategic advisor. The second layer is the AI lead. This person is the most fractional within this, but they're help connecting the dots to strategic solutions of what we need to create.
Yeah.
And then there's the AI implementation team.
Got
So
it.
really, it's like the core is getting clear on what we need to focus on from a strategic advisor standpoint,
Yeah.
and have the AI implementation team go and build and implement those tools, so that we're not just saying, "Hey, this is what you should do." We're saying, "Hey, this is what you should do," and we'll go build it for you, right? And it's just the
Yeah.
the dream situation for a lot of people.
Got
But
it.
that team is everything that somebody needs to improve their operations from the inside out.
Got it. And if you can say like what's like some of the most like common issues that like business owners have, like in terms of in their business that they're struggling with.
Yeah. First of all, there's a lot.
Yeah. Just I guess like
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
general.
Yeah. So one of the most common ones that we're seeing right now is profit margins are often way lower than they should be,
Yeah.
right? And you can be successful from a revenue standpoint,
Yeah.
but especially the last couple years, profit margins have been squeezed in a lot of different businesses.
Mhm.
So most business owners and small businesses do not have good clarity of their financials. They're not making nearly as much as they should. And part of it is a huge part of it is because they don't have the operations that back it up, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the proper systems, the automations, AI, and they have way more chaos and fluff and moving pieces than they should for what is actually working. So we come in and help shine a light on those different things,
Yeah.
cut out what's not working, do more of what is, apply systems, automation, and AI, and we can sometimes 2, 3, 4x profit margins, which is pretty substantial for these 7 and 8 figure businesses.
Got it. And then I guess how long you work with these businesses just kind of determines based off like what their goals are, like how
Yeah,
much they want to earn, or is it kind of like when do you guys realize like, yeah, now like we've done our job
yeah,
and now our time is up, you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, once we stop providing exponential value, right?
Yeah.
So like our goal is to work with people for years and years, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we've had a couple businesses that we've taken from 7 to 9 figures actually, and we just let one go that we helped them scale from 3 million to 40 something million,
Wow.
right? And then in the next 18 months, they went on to get to 80 million. So there's a point where we say, hey, you're better off with somebody else and whatnot. But that point is usually years down the line because there's so much opportunity of what we can help people with, right? So our goal is to provide value, that we work with people for a long time, but some people work with us three months, 6 months. Like it could be pretty short, but the longer that it is, the more that we can do.
Got it. And what do you think of like I guess like businesses in Austin? Like is that I know you focus on a lot of
Yeah,
different businesses like all throughout the United States and the world. You even mentioned like world, so different countries and things like
yep.
that. But what about like small businesses in Austin? Have you worked with a lot of small businesses in Austin?
Yeah, we have. This is our number one market, actually. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And a lot of them have mostly an online element.
Yeah.
They do their marketing online or whatnot, or they've got their team, remote and whatnot. But we have worked with a lot of in-person businesses as well. But I love the Austin market. It's easy
It's
to
just
get people
easy.
together, get people together here. I understand the market, right? It's a good and booming economy in general. We love working with Austin businesses.
Got it. And what would you say, like someone that, is an entrepreneur, that, might want to work with you and things like that? What are like kind of like the categories that you'd say? I know you mentioned something about, their business is struggling or they're not getting the returns that they expect and things
Yeah.
like that. Would you say that's kind of the only category to working with you in operations.com? Or are there other things that, I know you have your coaching program too.
Yep.
Is there like a certain like, uniqueness about I guess operations.com that
Yeah.
you know would make sense for an entrepreneur who's watching to want to work with you?
Yeah, so there's basically three core categories of why people come to us,
Yeah.
and that leads to the three keys signs to a successful business.
Yeah.
So the three key issues that people have are number one, they're oftentimes too stuck in the business, like they're
Yeah.
pulled in 100 different directions, they're drowning from a time standpoint, they're just overwhelmed and overworked, right?
Yeah.
Number two is I mentioned the profitability piece; they're not making the money that they should from a profitability standpoint. And number
Yeah.
three, growth has stalled, or maybe it's even declining a little bit. That revenue is flatlined, and it's just heavier to grow than they need. So we come in and we evaluate and show them the reasons for why one or all three of those are happening, and start to improve things from the inside out. So yeah, if people are drowning in the day to day, not making the money that they want, or revenue has stalled, we can come in and show them exactly what's going on and how to fix it and address that.
Cool. Now that makes sense. Now that we know about your business itself, I know you brought your two books.
Yep.
What was like that inspiration for you to write these books
Yeah.
in the first place? Because we can see right there you have your seven figures
Yeah, from
book
six to
right
seven
there.
figures. Yep.
Yeah, 6 to 7 figures book right there. And then you have your other one, which is the 2 week vacation test right there.
Yep.
What was kind of like your motivation to that? What is it more towards like helping the younger generation or just struggling business owners?
Yeah.
Or what was that kind of mindset for you writing this book?
Yeah, when I was first coming up, before I had like a true entrepreneurship mentor,
Yeah.
my first entrepreneurship mentor was books, and I went on to read 100 books in the first year that I started to learn about entrepreneurship, and then 100 books the next year, and that's where I was learning, and I was
Yeah.
just consuming so much. So I knew at that point in time, I was like, man, how cool would it be to write a book someday? To help somebody like me to this,
Yeah. Yeah.
get them to
Yeah.
the next level, next opportunity. So I knew at that point I was going to write a book. But like growing up, I was an engineer. I was good with math and science. I was not good with writing at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I couldn't get into the schools that I wanted to because my writing score was too low. So
Yeah.
anyhow, long story short, My first book was basically just a summary of my podcast at the time, which I
Yeah.
was teaching young entrepreneurs about investing in mindset and money and whatever.
Yeah.
And that was okay of a book, but it wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
That I was like, all right, I want to write a good
A
book,
real
and then
book.
I wrote from 6 to 7 figures the first version, and I just loved the process. It was like
Yeah.
very fun. I think everybody has their own form of creation. Like you're like so good at social media, right? Some people love Substack and writing there. Some people love creating long form videos. Some people love to write books. Some people love art. Some people love music. Like everybody has their own form of
Yeah.
creation, cooking, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? For me, it's writing books. I really like the process to take these complex subjects and break them down with core frameworks and steps of exactly what to do. And my books are very different from most business books out there. Like it's very tangible, very step by step, very specific. It's not this very high level, super
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
stuff. And I get a lot of good feedback on that. And I've really enjoyed the process of writing, the process of hearing people's takeaways from the book and the impact that it's made. So I want to write a book every year. I've
Yeah.
written 4 or 5, I think 4 official ones, and co-authored several others. But yeah, it's a great process and it's super valuable for people, and it leads to a lot of business. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win-win all the way around.
It's a win-win. What would you say, like, if someone wanted to read your book, which one would you recommend them to read first?
Yeah, if you are not at 7 figures yet, I would recommend definitely reading from 6 to 7 figures. I'm really, really proud of this book. I mean, Dan
Yeah.
Martell, if you know Dan, he,
Yeah.
he gave me the main quote for that book. So that one I've written 2 versions, but definitely grab the black cover there. It's really just a great playbook for people to get to multiple 7 figures. And then the 2 week vacation test. If you're drowning in the day to day, this is how to like reclaim your time and take back control of the business and get out of the day to day. So
Yeah.
that one's really powerful there, but less people are dealing with that as much as, hey, how do I build a successful business? So
Yeah.
from 6 to 7 figures is the one I would start with.
Got it. I know you mentioned about that second book of, kind of people drowning in the business and
Yeah.
things like that. And I've seen that with so many business owners as well. Like, what do you like? How do business owners kind of like get out of that business and
Mm,
not like be in the business? Because
mm,
a lot of people, like these business owners, I see them, they're working like 80, 90, 100 hours a week, but they're making money for
yeah.
sure, but they're just in there. They can't take vacations,
Yeah.
or maybe they have like a shop or something like that. So that obviously the location freedom is gone there.
Yeah.
But like, what would you say would be like your best thing to kind of like get out of that shell itself,
Yeah.
or does it depend on the business model? I
Yeah.
know it's probably more complex than how I'm saying it, but
Yeah.
is there something that you see where people can kind of get out of that business rather than being in that, like just staying in that business,
Yeah,
like
good question. Well, the short answer is to read the book
yeah, yeah,
because it goes through the 7 steps of
yeah,
exactly what to do. Because what we
yeah,
need to do is doesn't happen overnight. Like
yeah,
you can't leave and go on a vacation tomorrow if you've been stuck in the business for 5 years,
yeah,
and be fully detached. So what you want to do is ramp up towards that.
yeah,
So that's what I do is break people down step by step of exactly what to do. Starting with just taking a night off. Can you take the night off and not work? And a lot of people can't because they are just so addicted to their business. They're addicted to their work, right? So we've got to mentally detach and we've got to physically detach from doing the task. But what I want people to think about is leverage, right? Leverage is getting things done without you,
yeah,
right? And in the best and effective way. So you need systems and people to do that.
yeah,
And if you're already doing the work, if you're working 80, 100 hours a week, like I used to, I've been there, right?
yeah,
If you start to document what you're doing and put systems in place, then you're able to delegate those things on down. Then you're able to focus on higher value things. It's simple math of instead of focusing on, you know, something that somebody you could pay somebody to do for $20 an
yeah,
hour, $40 an hour, or $100 an hour, you can go and focus on something that's worth $200 an hour, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, right? It's just simple exchange of math to be able to focus on higher value things. But so many people get stuck of like, oh, it's just better, faster if I do it myself because they don't have the proper mindset and they don't have the proper
hmm,
systems in place to delegate, right? And as a result, they stay stuck and they just reinforce that wheel of like, I'm just going to do it. And then they find themselves 5 or 10 years down the line and they're like, wait a minute, I was sold the same vision that you and I were sold of freedom. And I don't have any freedom. In fact, I have less freedom
you
than I
have
could
less freedom.
in a full-time job. So let's not wait till you get to a breaking point. Realize that now, take back control, start to detach from the day to day, start to get more leverage. And again, you can do that more now than better than ever before with the power of automations and AI and what's possible.
Cool. No, that makes sense. And I guess my last question to you would be, what would be like just to anyone that's watching that's young and things like that, what would be like the best piece of advice that you've received so far for any entrepreneurs that's starting off, or even not just starting off, just anyone that has that entrepreneurship mind that wants to really scale their business to the highest level as possible.
Yeah. Um, at the end of the day, you're 6 inches away from all the success that you want to have, right? And that
Yeah.
6 inches is right here, right? You need the mindset, and the mindset is the most important and hardest part, right? To get to each level of success, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to let go of certain things that got you there. You have to always have this awareness. You always have to be working on yourself, developing yourself. You always
Yeah.
have to be seeing, hey, what are my fears here? And why not just lean into that, right?
Yeah.
And just continuing to take massive action, to continue to have the discipline. Everything that I'm mentioning is related to the mindset, right? So if you can develop that and continue to develop that, you're going to be unstoppable. But that's the hardest part, right? Is we get comfortable or get fearful or don't want to be judged and do different things that don't take the proper actions, that we don't let go of certain things, or we don't invest in ourselves, we don't bet on ourselves, we don't ask questions, right? All of this is related to having the proper mindset, right? To go from hustler to CEO to empire builder.
Yes. And then I guess that leads me to, sorry,
No, you're
this
good.
is my last question, is like, why do you think like people in, I guess especially in this generation, why don't they take action? Because otherwise everyone would be, successful and things like
Yeah.
that. Is that just it has to come from within you, or is this something like, why aren't everyone hustlers? I guess is my
Yeah,
question.
great question. Society trains us to
Yeah.
stay within the box,
Yeah.
right? Our school system, stay in line,
Yeah.
do what you're told, these
Yeah.
types of, it's all built for the factory,
Yeah.
right? The factory line that was created years and years and years and years or decades ago, right?
Decades.
And you have to break outside of that box. You have to break outside of the norm. You have to not do what all the movies and TV shows and our school system and everybody else is like training you to do, which is to just fit in,
Yeah.
right? No, you can break free. You can create whatever's possible. We get one chance at this thing,
Yeah.
as best I can see.
Yeah.
We get one chance at this thing. Go and create your dream. It's going to be really hard, but it's also really freaking fun, and it's the only way that you're going to end your life and be like, I did it right. You
Yeah.
know?
Chandler said the same thing. You don't want to be 70 years old and be like, man, I wish I could have done this thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you take that risk?
Yeah.
Why don't you take that opportunity while you can, while you're young?
Especially while you're young. Especially while you're young. Like you don't realize this until you get a little bit older. And I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
Right. And if I was your age, I would take 5 times the amount of risk that I took, at least,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah.
I was just playing things so conservatively, and that just held me back, right?
Yeah.
And I see people like Chandler. Chandler's younger than me, and,
Yeah.
and he's been taking some big swings before I did, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's paying off.
It's paying off. And,
Yeah.
and it'll continue to pay off for those that learn from the swings and lessons, because a lot of things that he's done, a lot of things that I've done, a lot of things that you do, like they're not going to work. But as long as you learn from that,
Yeah.
you realize they're not going to kill you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're in fact only going to make you stronger.
Yeah. Every failure, in fact, is a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
fail, you learn, you grow stronger.
Yep. Which is a stepping stone to that next level of reality that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know?
You grow or you learn.
Yep.
There's either two options. There's no
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
You either grow or you learn.
And
At
both
the
of
end-
those is you're growing.
You're growing at the end of the day.
It just may not look like it. It may not feel like it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool when you step back from
Yeah.
the grind of the day to day and how you feel and the wave of the emotions and just be like, I'm in this journey. I'm leaning into this journey, right?
Yeah.
And committed to it all through that.
Cool. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
brother.
you having me in the podcast.
Thank you.
What did you think?
Amazing. Yeah. Natural. You
yeah,
didn't
I
even look
don't-
at
I
your
don't-
notes at